ZCode is one of the best alternatives to Claude Code right now and at a fraction of the cost. The app is free to download and it runs the GLM 5.2 open weight model. And according to the benchmarks, GLM 5.2 is trailing just slightly behind his flagship models from Anthropic and OpenAI. And in this video, I'll show you everything you need to know to get started with ZCode and GLM 5.2, from installing ZCode, setting up our development environment, and planning and building our very first project. But first, what is ZCode? Well, if you've ever used Claude Code Desktop or something like Codex, you will feel right at home. It's a native desktop app that you can use to chat to an agent to build whatever you want. From the chat interface, you can call your coding agents from different workspaces and projects. This makes it very easy to see all of your different projects in a single view and to run as many ZCode sessions in parallel as you need. Like I mentioned, this is very similar to something like Claude Code Desktop. It's the exact same stack basically. So you'd have your GLM subscription, which is actually a lot cheaper than something like Claude Code. And the comparisons don't stop there either. If you're used to Claude Code, you're just going to feel at home with ZCode, really. If we compare the specs between Opus 4.8 and GLM 5.2, they both have a 1 million token context window with a max output of 128,000 tokens. The only difference is that Claude actually has vision, so you can upload images and the model will be able to drive a browser and visually analyze a website using its multimodal capabilities. Unfortunately, that's not yet available in GLM 5.2, but it can still review websites based on the actual HTML. They both support tool calling, extended reasoning, and here's a big difference. GLM 5.2 is an open weight model. This means if you've got the infrastructure to do so, you can actually run this model on your own hardware. Another major difference is that these GLM models are a lot cheaper than the Claude models, about 6 times cheaper just based on the API rates. At the time of recording, Opus 4.8 is $5 for 1 million tokens in, where GLM 2 is only $1.40. And the big one is on the output side, where Opus is $25 for 1 million tokens out, GLM is only $4.40. And trust me, you feel it. While testing this model, I asked it to create a Minecraft clone, and that entire build only cost me $1. That would not nearly be the case with Opus 4.8. In order to use ZCode, we do have to download it. So we can just go to this website, which I'll link to in the description of this video. And I have to be very clear about this, I am not sponsored or affiliated with ZCode in any way. I tried the tool myself and I do think it's really cool and worth testing out. So then all we have to do is download and install ZCode for our operating system. I'm using Windows, so I'll just download this one over here. And once that file has been downloaded, just go ahead and install it. Now, the first time you start up ZCode, it'll look something like this. Now, you won't have any projects on the left-hand side over here, but the first thing you need to do is connect your account. So we can click on connect to z.ai. Now, at this stage, you will be asked to sign into your account or create a new account. So just go ahead and do that. And now we're signed into our account. What we can also do is click on our little profile and go to upgrade. Now this is a paid service. On the free plan, they do give a little bit of tokens to play around with, but ideally you want to upgrade to one of their paid plans. So you can pay for a subscription, or you can pay using API keys, which is kind of a pay-as-you-go type of system. So if you want to go with the subscription route, simply sign up with one of these plans. Now, I'm also going to show you the API route for those of you who just want to try out a sort of pay-as-you-go option for now. So what you can do is click on Settings, then under Providers, you can try to switch over to API key, but this actually didn't work for me at the time of recording. When I provided my API key, it still failed because it's kind of pointing to this Anthropic endpoint, which doesn't really seem to work. And from here, you can see your coding plan, but if you want to use your API key, just go to this API key option over here, and then we have to provide an API key. Now, to get that key, simply go to z.ai and then sign into your account. Then click on this API link in the top right corner. Then click on your little profile up here and API keys. Now, I should also mention that you do have to load credit onto your account. So if you click on billing, you have the option to load credits onto your account. But really all we have to do then is grab our API key, add it to ZCode and click on test. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bug, but if I try to test this using my API key, I do get this error message. Now, personally, I think this has something to do with the base URL up here, which I'm not able to change. So the way I fix this is to simply add a new custom provider. So I just called it GLM pay-as-you-go, then I added this as the base URL. Then I changed the API format to chat completions, and I pasted my API key over here. Now when I try to test this model, this actually worked. So if you find that you've got that same issue where the model is not working for some reason, just try to copy my connection details. Either way, we should now be able to build something cool. So let's set up our development environment, and I'm going to show you how to do this the right way. The first thing I recommend you do is to install Git and GitHub. Now, if you're not technical and you have no idea what that means, we can use Git and GitHub to do version control on our application. This means we can take a snapshot of our app at any point in time, and if we ever break something accidentally, we can always revert back to that specific snapshot. And what GitHub allows us to do is to create a remote backup of our project. So that way, if something had to happen to my PC, I won't lose all of my code. This is one of those steps that a lot of people skip, but it's really worth doing. And it's so easy. Simply go to github.com and create an account. It's completely free. Then back in ZCode, we're going to let the agent do everything for us. What we can do is simply ask it, please set up Git and GitHub on this machine and connect to my GitHub account. That is really it. So I'm not going to do this now because I've done it already, but what this will do is download and install Git and GitHub CLI on your machine, and it will ask you just to authenticate yourself with GitHub. And now we can build our very first project. Then I'll create a new folder called My First Project. And now we can tell ZCode what we want to build. Make a fireworks web app. When I click anywhere, launch a firework that fires up and explodes into colorful particles that fall and fade. Dark background so the colors pop. Let me launch as many as I want at once. And make it smooth and satisfying. Now, of course, you can build whatever you want. And let's have a look at some of these options. We can upload files like PDF documents or whatever we want. Then we can also change modes. So ask before changes means that the agent will always ask our permission before changing files or running commands. With edit automatically, the agent will edit files automatically, but still ask your permission to run certain commands. In planning mode, the agent won't make any changes. This is where we can have a conversation with the agent to flesh out our project idea. And under full access, the agent will run commands and make file edits without ever stopping to ask your approval. I'm going to select Edit automatically. Then we can also select our model. If you are using the subscription, you can simply select GLM 5.2 or GLM 5 Turbo. I'll go with GLM 5.2. If you are using the API, what you can do is go to the provider that you set up and select one of those models. Then we can also select the reasoning effort. Like you can disable thinking, set it to high or max. I'll just go with max. Then let's send this. Right, while ZCode is running, what you'll notice is that it just created this folder on the left sidebar, and we can see our session is currently running over here. If you ever wanted to run more than one session on the same project at the same time, that's very easy. Next to the project, we can simply click on New Task, and we can say something like describe the project. Let's run this. And now we have two sessions running in parallel on the same project. If we ever wanted to continue working on another project altogether, we can simply jump over to that project and just, continue working there, or even kick off multiple ZCode sessions within that project. This interface is perfect for multitasking and working on multiple projects at the same time. And if you ever wanted to get rid of one of these sessions, you can simply click on this little archive button over here. While our agent is actually working on this project, I do want to point out a few very cool features in ZCode. Firstly, you can control all of these sessions remotely using your phone simply by clicking on this button. And this will take you through the process of connecting your ZCode desktop app with your mobile phone. It's also really easy to add things like agent skills simply by clicking on the skills button. From here, we can view all of the skills that's sort of set up globally on my machine. Like I love using this grill me skill during the planning phase. So from here, we can view any skills that's already been set up, and we can easily add more skills by clicking on this import skills from external agents button. and then we can import skills from Claude Code or any of the tools that we're currently using. We can also easily create new skills simply by clicking on this new skill button. This will simply bring out the skill creator skill over here, and now we can just tell the agent what skill to create. Now we're not going to create a skill in this video, but if you do want to learn more about agent skills and effectively working with coding agents, then you might be interested in my Agentic Coding Masterclass. I also just created a Claude Code course where we go into detail on using skills in Claude Code. My Agentic Coding Masterclass contains several videos on everything you need to know about using agents, like skills over here, to creating design systems, and we even have a project that you can follow along with where we build a full stack app including payment processing, user authentication, and we even build an MCP server so that other agents can use our app. I'll leave a link to Agentic Labs in the description. Alright, our agents just completed these changes, so let's click on Open, and now we can actually see our app running in this integrated browser. And everything works. There's even sound effects. Let's do Finale. How cool is that? Now that we have a working app, we want to take a snapshot and even commit it to GitHub so that we don't lose it. What we can do is simply say, please create a repository and push these changes. Let's send this. If everything was set up correctly, ZCode is now going to ask you a few questions. Should this repository be private or public? With public repositories, anyone can see the code and they can actually copy your code. If it needs to be private, so only for you and your team, you can select private as well. I'll just make this one public. And done. Check this out. So ZCode gave us this URL. And if we open this takes us to our repository on GitHub. And this contains the project files. And if you guys want, you can actually access this as well. This is a public URL. So you can view all of these files, you can download it, you can even run it on your machine. That is why setting up Git and GitHub is so important. Right, let's create one more project. So I'll just create another folder. Now, this time I'm going to change the mode to planning mode. So for more complex tasks where you might need the agent to clarify things with you, or maybe you want to flesh out the idea with the agent, you can switch to planning mode. So in planning mode, the agent won't change anything in the project folder yet, but it is going to produce an implementation plan towards the end. Then let's send something like, I want a brick breaker game in the browser, like Breakout. I move a paddle at the bottom with my mouse or arrow keys, a ball bounces around, and I break a grid of colorful bricks at the top. I want a score, lives, multiple levels that get harder. Give it a bright neon glow on a dark background, and make it feel juicy with little particle bursts when bricks break. Add a start menu and a game over screen. Let's send this. Because we're running this in planning mode, the agent is going to ask us clarifying questions. Like, how should the game handle audio? Juice usually pairs well with sound, but it's optional. So I'll go ahead and answer all of these questions. Alright, so while this agent is busy, I do want to show you a few more cool things. If we go to settings, I really like the way that they handle skills and sub-agents and MCP servers for that fact. We can go to skills, just like how you saw it before, where we can find and install new skills. But they also have this sub-agents view, which I think is really cool. Setting up sub-agents is typically painful, so they make it stupidly easy. At the moment, we only have 2 sub-agents available, but adding a new one couldn't be any simpler. You just click on New Sub-Agent, then you can give it a name, like, I don't know, Code Reviewer. You can choose a color, select the model that it needs to use. You can give it a description. You can assign permissions, so if we only wanted to allow very certain permissions, we can do that as well. They just make it so easy, and then you can define a system prompt right here. You don't have to dig through markdown files. I think this is really intuitive. The same thing for MCP servers. So when we click here, we currently only have these 2 MCP servers. And if we wanted to add more, we can just click on Add, and then we can give our MCP servers a name. We can, select the protocol, set the commands, arguments, environment variables. This just is so easy. Or we can switch over to JSON view and just, copy all the settings in there. I just really like the way that they've structured the settings. Alright, well, let's have a look here. Our agent actually created a plan. So if we want, we can just read through this plan and ask the agent to make any changes if there's anything we don't like. But I'm just going to trust the agent and say approve plan. This is going to take us out of planning mode, and now we can ask the agent to implement this plan. Now, I'm actually going to switch this to full access mode, and let's just say, please implement the plan. In fact, while the agent is working on this, what I'm going to do is go back to Subagents, and I think I'm just going to create one quick. So I'll just give it a prompt like your role is to review the project code to ensure that coding best practices are followed. Fix any glaring issues. Let's save this agent, and we'll use it in the project in a second. What I also want to show you is that if we click on this toggle over here, we have a few options like review. And this will basically just show us all of the unstaged or untracked changes. So as the agent is making changes in this main view, and if we have a Git repository set up, all the different file changes will show up here. Or we can open up terminal windows. So for those of you who do want to run terminals, that is possible as well. And you can have multiple terminals running at the same time. Of course, we can click on the browser view as well, and that way we can see the app on the right-hand side. All right, let's have a look at the results. Let's click on Open, and now we've got Neon Breakout. Let's click on Start Game, and this looks neat. I mean, the graphics look very cool, the game does seem to work, there are very cool little particle effects, so everything works. And as it breaks these bricks, it even shows the sort of points, and everything just seems to work. I mean, this looks great. Now, before we use the sub-agent, let's do this. Please create a repository and push the project. I'll just make this a public repo, so if you guys want, you can play with it as well. And done. Let's have a look at that repo. And there's our project with a nice little README file going through all the game features. I am going to show you how you can actually deploy this project to production so that anyone can access it. But I also want to show you how to use sub-agents. So what we can do is press /, which will bring up all of these commands. What we can do is scroll down to the bottom to this agents section, and here we can select our code reviewer. And then we can ask our code reviewer agent, please review the project. If you're new to sub-agents, you can kind of see them as these little specialized agents that perform very specific tasks in your project. In the instance of the code reviewer agent, we ask it to review the code to ensure it follows coding best practices. Alright, so this agent will just go through the code and make any code fixes. And once those are done, we can just ask the agent to push the new changes to GitHub. Now, at the moment, we can only access this game on my PC. And ideally, you want to deploy it to production so anyone can access it. Because we deployed the code to GitHub, this is actually stupidly easy and free, by the way. For deploying web apps to production, I like to use Vercel. You can deploy anything from a simple website all the way to complex SaaS applications. And it's completely free, and again, I'm not sponsored by them. In fact, Vercel, if you're watching this, I wouldn't mind being a partner. After signing into Vercel, simply go to Add New, go to Project, and from this screen, you will be asked to connect to your GitHub account. Simply go ahead and do that. And then in this list, you'll see all of your repositories, like the Fireworks app and the Neon Breakout app that we just built. So let's actually import Neon Breakout. We don't have to change anything on the screen. I'm just going to click on Deploy. And this will take a second or two to deploy. In fact, it took like 10 seconds. Now I'll just continue to dashboard, and under domains you get this automatically generated domain, and now anyone with this domain can access this app, including you, by the way. So really, if you want, just go to this URL and you can play my game. And if you want to assign any custom domains, that's very easy as well. Just go to domains. You can add an existing domain from another provider or just buy a domain directly from Vercel. So let me know down in the comments what you think about ZCode and the GLM models. Also, if you found this video useful, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more agentic coding tutorials. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.